Welcome to our Bountiful City Council meeting tonight, and we have a special treat for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight. We have 3 cadets from Girl Scout Troop 914. These are 7th and 8th graders at South Davis Junior High and Mueller Park Junior High. Maya Mercer, Nyla Langeveld, and Sophie Pollard. So they will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for being here tonight to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And now we have another special treat. Tonight we have Eleanor Tensmeyer, and she is the winner of the Davis School District Martin Luther King Speech Contest. And she has agreed to give us her speech.
There is deep down within all of us an instinct. It's a kind of drum major instinct, a desire to be out front, a desire to lead the parade, a desire to be first. And it is something that runs the whole gamut of life. Jesus said in substance, "Oh, I see, you want to be first. You want to be great. You want to be important. You want to be significant. Well, you ought to be. If you're going to be my disciple, you must be." But he reordered priorities, and he said, yes, don't give up this instinct. It's a good instinct if you use it right. It's a good instinct if you don't distort it and pervert it. Don't give it up. Keep feeling the need for being important. Keep feeling the need for being first. But I want you to be first in love. I want you to be first in moral excellence. I want you to be first in generosity. That is what I want you to do. Jesus gave us a new norm of greatness. If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. And this morning, the thing that I like about it, by giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant.
Eleanor, thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us. I didn't really know about the speech competition, but Councilwoman Cecily Price Hewish, she told me that her son did this too, and she said it was so awesome. What a great experience! But you did so well. Thank you. That was fantastic. Any other comments?
Can I have a copy of that? That was phenomenal.
I would also just say you did a terrific job because it's even more than just memorizing the words. It's saying it like you mean it and delivering it with passion and grace and power, and you did all of those things. So great job.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. So you can stay if you would like, but at any time, if you're ready to go, that's fine too. So thank you so much. We will now move to our public comment time during our meeting. And for anyone who has a public comment, it's 2 minutes to come and say whatever you'd like to say. Anyone that wants to come and make a public comment? Okay, we will move to our next item on the agenda, which is to consider approval of the minutes of previous meeting held on February 8th.
Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion that we adopt the minutes from February 8th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We will now move to council reports. We'll start with you, Councilman Bell.
Nothing to report.
Councilwoman Bradshaw.
I would just mention that the legislative session goes until midnight on March 4th, and so there's still plenty of time to make your voice heard on any number of issues that are up this session.
Thank you. Councilman Higginson.
One quick thing, just wanted to report back on the IPA bills that have been working their way through the legislature. Kate can give us a more detailed update, since Kate is a power hitter in this area. First, I want to say, though, again, thanks to Kate especially, and thanks to Gary, and thanks to you, Mayor, for your work in talking to other mayors, talking to the league, and getting them on board with this idea, and especially attending all of those negotiation meetings in which it looks like IPA's repowering, which will benefit us for a long time to come, is actually going to be allowed to move forward. They're not going to kill it with any of the negative bills that they had proposed early on. So I'd ask Councilmember Bradshaw, if she would, to give us a brief overview of what we're looking at now and maybe the future for IPA.
Sure. So in the negotiations and discussions about the project, we have preserved a path for the repowering to go forward and stay at least as close to the initial timeline as possible, with a goal for the new natural gas and hydrogen plant to be open in 2025. 3 of the bills actually went through committee hearing this afternoon. We've reached acceptable compromises on the package of 4 bills. A few of the bills that would have been deal killers for the renewal project either had those provisions completely removed or were not allowed to be introduced. One in particular that would have required state approval to decommission any type of a power asset that, didn't move forward. There are some of the things that, will require some redundancy of reports that are already publicly available and available to the IPA cities. There will be an additional study of the water rights and the depletion of those water rights that has already been conducted that will be repeated. But by repeating some of those processes, it should guarantee that the project can withstand any further scrutiny by those who, have goals that are other than seeing the renewed project go forward.
Thank you for that. You can't really overstate the importance of having Kate and Gary and Kendall on this, as well as Alan Johnson and folks at the Power Department. So I didn't mean to leave you out the first time through, Alan. But this really is something that will benefit our Power Department and consequently our citizens for a long time going forward. It's a big deal. And I think it'll be leading the nation in the innovative technology that's going to be used. And it would have died an ugly death if it hadn't been for these folks that are sitting here. So additionally, I wanted to give a shout out to our Power Department. In Power Commission meeting this morning, we were talking about the growth of the number of electric vehicles that'll be charging in our city in the coming years. And Alan and Jess, I forgot his last name all of a sudden. Pierce, thank you. I know it was a really short name, at least syllabically. They've been working for 12 or 13 years now as we upgrade equipment or as we replace equipment, transformers and such, of spending a few extra dollars, literally a few extra dollars on transformers that are upsized over what the homes would have been requiring, planning for this transition. And so when the time comes that you buy your own electric car, and maybe you already have one, and you're charging it at home, but your transformer is probably already able to be at enough capacity to allow the rapid charging that'll get it on the road for you again the next day. And every time a topic is discussed in the power department, it just seems that good minds have been thinking about it for at least a decade and implementing policies that are forward-looking and making it so that as a city we can implement change a lot easier. So thanks to you, Alan, for your leadership. It's kind of a cool thing to see.
Thank you so much. You're right. We really will continue to benefit from your foresight and your department. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. Just for Councilwoman Barr, she's excused tonight. She's got a 2-week-old baby, and she gets to be home with the baby tonight. So we miss her, but we're excited for her happy news. And Councilwoman Price Hewish.
I have nothing to report from the Planning Commission.
I just have a quick thing to report. So just as a point of personal privilege, I am just going to announce that my parents, Carl and Cosette Kies, are here tonight, and it's their 48th anniversary tonight. And here they are with us. So happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
They've been wonderful parents. So thank you. Okay, we will now move to consider approval of expenditures greater than $1,000 paid January 31st, February 7th, and 10th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We will consider now of the approval of the purchase of 30 transformers. Mr. Alan Johnson.
Well, Mayor and Council, it's great to be here tonight and appreciate the good words, but I will add late, between yourself and Gary and Kate, they carried a lot of water on this one and other people there. It was great to see everybody come together and pull this off, so I want to pass that on, that some of us got to see other people jump in and do some great things that we didn't have to do, so thank you. But anyway, what I've got tonight is we did take this to the Power Commission this morning. And if you remember when I was here, I mentioned I'd be back again. So I'm actually here, I'll say begging for forgiveness because I've already signed the PO for these transformers. Transformers have become, we can't even take, they won't even take bids on them until the 1st of next year. That's how far they out because the pricing and stuff is so volatile. And one of those things is we're out looking for a lot of the supply chain issues we've got. The purchasing agent received a call from Annixter that says they had these on order. A customer bailed out, but they did not want to lose their place and called them and wanted to know if we'd be interested to do it. So that's why we picked up these 30 transformers. Like I said, they are more expensive than the last ones we bought. They will not be here until November or December of this year. So it's going to be almost like the end of the year, and we'll be back looking for transformers and potentially wouldn't be able to find any. So we jumped on this so we would keep supply. Wires becoming a tough thing. The underground conduit that we're putting into the ground that used to be $2 a foot, we brought some for the road that goes to the B that was at $4 a foot. We thought was atrocious. The price that I got for that last week was $15 a foot. That's almost more than what we're paying for the wire to put into it at this point. So supply chain issues and the pricing is getting to be a big thing. So it would be the Power Commission and staff's recommendation that we approve the purchase of these 30, 50 kVA transformers, which would give us an inventory, which should get us through this situation and make sure we have people to stay in power for the city, so.
Alan, is there, in any power industry groups that you're a part of, is anyone giving any reliable forecasts of when they think the supply chain crunch will ease on some of these items, or is it too early to know?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, my cohorts in other cities are really struggling. Some of them are really struggling, as their inventories are getting low because they didn't bring their inventories up. But talking to our local representatives, they're just shaking their head. We don't know we're gonna get stuff back on our shelf. We don't know when they're gonna get delivery. The factories are struggling. They can't tell them the volatility of pricing. So like I say, I imagine we're into it for another year, maybe 2 years till things settle down again.
I just was wondering, could you tell us, like, how many of these transformers do we typically go through in a year, and how big of a cushion will these 30 that we'll be getting, how big of a cushion will that be?
We have a budget that's about $200,000 for transformers that we go through. We typically, because we put salt on our roads and our transformers are in the front yards for the most case, we have a lot of them that are corrode from the salt and rust and start leaking oil. So we typically go through 40, maybe 50 transformers a year. So we'll have about a year and a half supply with these if we don't use any but when this fall comes.
That's great.
And I'll
Any
say-
other questions?
How many did we go through in the windstorm that we had last year? Because since I can hear the wind howling behind me, I'm
These
curious.
transformers are the green ones that sit out in the park strips. So invariably in the wind, we will have transformers and the trees will hit them and something happens and we'll short out. So I think we replaced maybe one, maybe two pad mount, but we went through 15 or 20 of the ones up on the pole. And fortunately, we have some of those and we could be in for an interesting night before we're through tonight, so.
Well, I'm happy to make a motion to approve your forgiveness approval on purchasing the transformers and then hope that at some point we get back to more regular purchasing, but I'm glad that the staff is on top of the relationships to get more when we're able. That was a long motion. All of that is in the motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes.
Mayor,
Thank
could I
you.
make one other comment before Alan Johnson leaves?
Please.
I don't want to pre-authorize any misbehavior, but I hope that you'll take the same opportunity should it arise.
Well, I don't have any more to bring back to you at this point. Anything now would be totally new, but I do appreciate the support and the fact that when these opportunities come, we dare jump on them, so we do have it for the city. It means a lot to be able to have that kind of support, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move to consider approval of a contract with Newman Construction. Mr. Lloyd Cheney.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, members of the council. As part of our duties in the engineering department, each year we put together bid packages for different capital improvement projects that are required for the different departments. And tonight I bring to you the capital improvement project for the water department. This is a little bit interesting because we bid this package out early last year and we got 0 responses. The construction market was just saturated with projects and contractors were just not interested in what we had to do. So we kind of bided our time until after the first of the year and revised our project and put it out to bid. And I'm very grateful to report that we had 5 responses to this. I'm a little bit surprised at the results. Frankly, we've had a lot of discussions about supply chain issues and the economy and, how things are here locally particularly. The pricing that we received back was even higher than what we anticipated. You can see that based on comparison to the engineer's estimate. Miranda, if I could have you fire up my laptop on the projectors here for a minute. I have a graphic that I included in your staff report that I wanted to share with the public, kind of give them a little sense of place for where we are right now. What I did was select some very common elements that we use in our projects, item by item. Now, these aren't always the lowest price for each item submitted by the contractor. Sometimes these are a little more expensive than, say, what another contractor would bid, but these are the items that make up the majority of our projects. And you can see, it's pretty common to see a 200% increase since 2020. I felt like maybe a little better comparison would be to take a look at a project and compare that to similar projects. So the 10th North project, you see, although it was long and fairly complicated, the pricing for that project in 2020 was $81 a foot. If we were to look at something similar to that now, we'd be doubled. We do a lot of street reconstruction projects, and you just approved the contract for that at our last meeting. In advance of those projects, we always do a water line replacement, and that is why I've included the Second South project on there, so that you can see that in 2020, we spent about $91 a foot, and this year, that same type of work is going to cost about $212 a foot. Now, that includes the pipe, includes new services over to each home. It includes the valves and the fire hydrants and all the efforts that it takes to get those pipelines disinfected and put into service. I did include the Creekside View subdivision because occasionally we do a project which is brand new, where we're not out in the road competing for space with existing utilities, but we have a pretty wide open corridor. They're a lot easier to build. And you can see that even in this case, they're still very expensive. I think in this case, Creekside Views is an example of a project where Newman Construction was not exactly the lowest on this project, but in the grand scheme of things for their overall bid, they were the lowest. We're pretty lucky in the engineering department to have a really good relationship with other engineers throughout the state. And Newman comes highly recommended. They do a lot of work down in the south end of Salt Lake County, and reaching out to some of my equals down there, they all recommended them highly. One of them even mentioned the superintendent that's planned to be on our project by name and said, that guy is great. He knows his stuff, and he's great to work with. So they come highly recommended. We're excited to establish a new relationship with them. And I say that with a little trepidation because the last time we established a new relationship with the contractor, it didn't go so well. I spent a lot of time talking to their bonding agent, a lot of time with Clint, working through issues. And we certainly hope that we do not have a repeat of that experience, but rather that we repeat our other really good experiences and that we have the opportunity to bring Newman back to do some additional work. We typically include a renewal clause in our contracts so that if we can negotiate some reasonable prices, we don't have to go back out through the bidding process and we can just continue on with the work that needs to be done. Staff recommendation that the council approve Newman's contract at the unit prices submitted in their proposal. And the reason that we do that is that each of these jobs are paid based on the units. And in the future, if we have other work that needs to be done in this contract time, we need those unit prices available to price the work and have an expectation for what the costs will be. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion that we approve the contract with Newman Construction with the unit prices that have been presented to us on the recommendation of Mr. Cheney.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
A question from Councilwoman Price Hewish.
Just on the significant impacts, part of the report, talk about the 40-year maintenance plan, and with some of the project, expanding costs of the projects, that we may complete fewer projects at this time, just due to the costs. I was just wondering, do you have a feel for when those next in-line projects will come back online? How do we anticipate getting those projects back online?
That's an interesting question, and really, to me, the combination of the economic conditions we're facing now and the drought are going to change our approach to our water line work. The challenge of selling less water means less revenue. We're going to have to really take a hard look, I think, as summer approaches it. Let's be frank, it doesn't look good for our water year. It's going to be another tough summer. With prices up, the prospects of water not looking so good, we're going to have to evaluate what work we can do and what we need to do to our rate structure to maintain an appropriate level of maintenance. So, yes, I am hinting that we're going to take a hard look at our rates.
Is that something that you're anticipating in the budget cycle for 2022-23?
Not right now, no. I would say perhaps the following year. We've been pretty lucky. My predecessor developed a pretty intense spreadsheet to help predict where we will be financially in the water department and help us decide when it would be appropriate to review our rates. We keep our finger on that pretty close every year. Haven't had a chance to hit that yet as we approach budget time, but now is the time to really take a hard look at that. I wouldn't anticipate that we would change right now, but we'll certainly be looking at it for what we need to do in the following budget year.
I had a similar question regarding that. So does this put us 2 years behind what we were scheduled to do? And where are we at with that 40-year plan?
Are we behind? Yeah, this gave us about a 6-month delay as we just kind of coasted through last construction season. I'm going to give some props to our water department guys. As part of their budget every year, they're committed to install a fairly significant amount of water line themselves as replacement. And even though we didn't have a water line contractor working on the program, we did have our in-house crews replacing pipe. And they are very efficient, and they do a great job. Just as a matter of comparison, the project that they worked on 14th South, their costs were about $81 a foot. So kind of right on line with the 10th North project that I listed. But as you look at the other projects, they're significantly cheaper. Now that comes at a price because they can't always stay there and work and be dedicated to those projects hour after hour, day after day. But we did make progress. The water department did meet their commitment for the amount of pipe that they want to put in the ground each year. So are we behind? Yeah, we're a little bit behind. But
And that would, I guess, that's in the ground behind. What about financially? Like, I'd imagine we're we allocate so many dollars a year to replace water line. This is like 2 years' worth of budget in 1 year. Is that right? Am I looking at that correctly?
Yeah, you're correct. The interesting thing about this contract is that they won't be able to complete all this work by the end of the budget year. So basically, all the capital project money, less the water department's expense, is available from now till the end of June. What we can get done, we will get done, and hopefully it's a lot. But that still leaves funds from the upcoming budget that can be expended against this project, these projects.
Thank you.
Can I comment, Mayor? Is that okay?
Please.
A number of years ago, the water department came to the council and said that there was shorter than expected lifespan for some of our main lines. There were some real problem areas. I think at the time specifically, they said the ductile iron pipe that was supposed to last many decades was failing quickly. And the council asked the water department for their cooperation, and if we would allocate more funds to them, they would step up our replacement program so that we could get rid of some of those nagging problems and failing areas more quickly. And I think, I don't know this for sure, but I think we've reached the point where we've replaced most of the really bad problem areas, and now we're on a course to keep that replacement program going to maintain our system. Craig, what do you think?
Yeah, that's correct.
So just because we're going to fall 6 months behind here or a year behind, it doesn't mean that those critical projects are going to go undone. Those have been done. So now we're in the regularly scheduled replacement program. So anyway, just to try to put your minds at ease a little bit that the critical projects were done with an increase in funds and an increase in water department line replacement years ago. And so we have the luxury now of being able to coast a little bit and still not have tragedies looming for our water department.
The water department's very good about evaluating sections of pipes that may develop a leak history, in a very short time, and we'll move those forward as needed so that they're addressed in a timely manner.
Thank you.
So just as far as providing good service to our residents, we may be getting a little bit behind schedule, but anticipating potential rate increase in a year and a half or so, to potentially deal with the cost of projects ongoing.
My crystal ball looks a lot like a bowling ball.
These are great questions, and we really get to delve into these questions when it's budget, and so it's nice that just within the next few months, we will be really taking a hard look at all of these questions. But thank you.
Yeah.
Important questions. Any other questions about this item? We will move then next to the next item, to consider an approval of an amendment to our interlocal cooperation agreement. Chief Beeler, thank you.
That's kind of a mouthful, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm here to talk about animal control. Bountiful City signed an interlocal agreement in 2016, which outlined a plan to address ongoing operational and capital costs for animal control through a 50-50 split between the cities and the county. The agreement also defined plans for accumulating an animal control capital fund of $562,000 over a 5-year period. So the city's obligation for service calls based on 2021's usage rate of 9.62% is going to be $135,265.85. The city's obligation to the county for wild nuisance animal pickup, that was done away with in 2020, if you'll remember that from last year. And the city's obligation to the county for capital projects fund regarding the shelter, based on 2021 usage rate of 9.62% is $5,406.44. So the total obligation is going to be $140,672.29. That's all outlined in the paperwork that I provided in this. So some significant impacts is that does make an increase over last year's animal control budget that we had, an increase of $13,960.36. So I am here seeking your approval to the attached amendment number 7 to the interlocal cooperation agreement for animal control services from Davis County, with granting authority to the mayor, city recorder, and city attorney to sign on the city's behalf.
I move for the approval of amendment number 7 to the interlocal cooperation agreement for animal control services with Davis County. Oh, sorry. Did I jump?
No, no,
No.
that's perfect. If you're ready to make a motion,
I'm
you make a
ready.
motion. Excellent. Do we have a second?
I'm willing to second. I just want to make a note that we should compel her to sign.
Yes, that was the word I was looking for, council member. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you so much, Chief. All right, that is the end of our business for tonight. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.